Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining Broadleaf's microservice-based complex catalog webinar. This is Brad Buell, the CRO at Broadleaf, and today I'm joined by Elbert Bautista, Broadleaf's senior architect, responsible for some of the re-architecting of Broadleaf's complex catalog management to a microservice-based architecture. Elbert, looking forward to it. Today, I'll briefly discuss Broadleaf's path to a microservice-based architecture before Elbert presents the objectives behind designing a catalog for complexity and shows off what it looks like through Broadleaf's React-based administrative console. Broadleaf partners with clients who value owning their technology for innovation by leveraging Broadleaf's commercial open source license. We have a history of working with key clients to build aspects of the platform over time, from our initial enterprise edition through additional feature sets for B2B, multi-site, omni-channel, and marketplace offerings, to name a few, with our latest microservice-based subscription and entitlements services built in concert with Major League Baseball for services on MLB.tv. Broadleaf offers a platform built on a microservice architecture, supported by a team of expert engineers and consultants who knows what it takes to achieve results. We love helping customers with their toughest digital challenges, and we leverage the latest open technologies that are highly extensible, customizable, and scalable in order to further innovate in commerce and empower our clients' teams to solve unique business problems. As we approach the need for custom catalogs, one clear example from Broadleaf's clients is Icon Fitness, managing the distribution of multiple fitness brands worldwide across around 30 different websites, managed all with a single Broadleaf code base across Broadleaf feature sets that include PIM, CMS, OMS, search, cart, and checkout, all through a unified admin console. When looking at just one of the Icon brands, Nordic Track, Icon has the ability to have a master catalog of Nordic Track products with different geographical sites that include the catalog elements and associated content which fit their geography for local site management. So machines that have French SKUs are able to be merchandised and marketed to France and French Canada, while the US and Germany sites don't see or manage those products. Of course, that's just one of many examples of how Broadleaf clients and partners use our complex catalog capabilities. Elbert, I'll turn it over to you to discuss other real-world applications.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for that introduction. So, over the years, we've encountered many use cases that have benefited from utilizing Broadleaf's multi-catalog capabilities. For example, we've seen organizations that needed to maintain multiple brands under a single umbrella. There are some that need to maintain a complex hierarchical structure, where one catalog may inherit products from another. Consider companies that have an international presence and have the need to support multiple geographies or regional-based items that all stem from a master catalog, but each may have subtle variations between them. Consider an organization who needs to support multiple B2B customers with custom contract catalogs, or a marketplace that needs to maintain various vendor catalogs. We believe that giving business users the flexibility to manage multiple catalog scenarios from a single admin interface can be tremendously powerful. Utilizing different combinations of capabilities within the framework allows businesses the ability to support a variety of unique cases and business models. So in today's webinar, we'll be specifically covering some of the benefits and unique capabilities offered with Broadleaf's Catalog Management microservice. We've put a lot of focus on building a solution for both merchandisers and developers. We believe that it's important to provide intuitive tooling for merchandisers to do their job effectively. Our framework offers the right tooling to support multi-catalog management, sandboxing and approval flows, and deployments to production, all while providing the ability to self-service and self-manage by minimizing the need for engineering involvement. At the same time, we also know that every business is not the same. Requirements change frequently, and that's why at our core, Broadleaf provides a highly customizable framework of commerce and management components that gives developers the power to easily customize what they need to and to also get out of the way when things are not needed. Most importantly, from a technical perspective, as the industry moves forward, all of this can be accomplished within a modern microservices-based landscape. So to begin, here's a very high-level diagram that depicts our opinionated reference microservices architecture and includes a majority of the services we provide in our ecosystem. It's meant to be a good starting point for utilizing a majority of our core commerce capabilities. I'm not going to spend too much time or go into too much detail on this slide, as we have a great webinar talking about the full architecture that you can find on our website. At a high level, Broadleaf provides a set of Java and Spring-based microservices libraries, and these services can be deployed and scaled either independently or composed into logical service groups. These API-based components can be consumed via many different channels, and this composes the majority of what we call the resource tier. We also have a tier of services that are responsible for powering our React-based centralized management application. And finally, all of this is tied together utilizing a combination of traditional protocols like HTTP, along with Spring Cloud Stream compatible brokers for asynchronous communication. Now, for the scope of this webinar, we're primarily going to focus on the capabilities of our catalog microservice, and we'll briefly touch on some of the additional services and libraries that provide enhanced functionality on top of those core functions. Okay, so let's go ahead and double-click into the catalog microservice. This diagram depicts one way in which to consume and utilize Broadleaf's catalog microservice library. In this example, we see a typical Spring Boot executable that shows inclusion of our catalog starter dependency alongside other implementation-specific dependencies that may be necessary for your project. In addition, there are many options in which to configure and deploy the application, such as utilizing Docker and Kubernetes as depicted here, or it can be deployed utilizing traditional web containers as well. The Broadleaf Catalog Service Starter Library provides a ton of features and capabilities, which include the ability to manage one or more catalogs, the ability to maintain categories, category taxonomies, products, product groups, variants, and so on. And finally, we also provide first-class support for an extensible import, export, and bulk update capability. This allows for batch processing multiple records into any target sandbox state, or in some cases directly into production. Now, while the catalog service by itself does provide a lot of rich functionality, Broadleaf does provide additional libraries, patterns, and supporting services that enhance the functionality of those core features. Some of the most utilized functions and services include the ability to handle internationalization and translations, the ability to support multi-tenancy, and the ability to support a sandboxing, approvals, and deployment flow. In fact, when you combine our catalog service with additional core services in the Broadleaf's ecosystem, you can achieve some robust full-featured commerce flows, all while having the flexibility to deploy and utilize those services within your own microservices landscape. For example, you can utilize our pricing services to achieve more advanced pricing concepts, like managing multiple price lists, contract pricing, and sales. Our promotion services provide offer code and campaign management, as well as a flexible discounting engine. And finally, utilizing our cart and billing services can support robust ordering, checkout, and recurring billing flows. Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the core features and functionality specific to the catalog microservice. Before we go any further, it would be good to first make sure we're in alignment on terminology. At its core, the catalog service is responsible for managing catalogs, and a catalog is just a collection of categories, products, variants, etc., and really any object you would typically consider a commerce merchandiser would be responsible for managing. Now, there are many scenarios where an organization wishes to maintain many catalogs and the relationships between those catalogs. Consider an organization that wishes to branch into a new business model, like a subscription-based platform, or wishes to remarket existing products to different channels. As mentioned previously, many business models and industry verticals prove to have some need for managing multiple catalogs in some fashion. As we talk about managing and supporting multiple catalogs, you may be wondering how other systems typically handle maintaining multiple catalogs alongside with these complex relationships. When these situations arise, systems typically approach this in a brute force manner, where catalogs that need to inherit from one another are copied and modified as necessary. As you can imagine, if you have a decent-sized product catalog, this can exponentially grow, things quickly become unwieldy, and a lot of headaches can arise around duplicated data, as well as create a management duplication nightmare as well. Any changes that happen at the master level that need to propagate to any child catalog requires some sort of offline batch or error-prone synchronization process. Broadleaf approaches this in a different way and gives you a lot of flexibility when trying to support these types of scenarios. Broadleaf allows you to configure the relationship between catalogs in a couple different ways. One of the unique ways is to specify this relationship as a customizable reference, where you can reference the master catalog while not making a full copy, and this informs the system to track just the changes and the overrides that happen at the child level. This eliminates the need for massive data duplication, and any changes that need to occur at the parent level can happen in near real time across inherited catalogs, while still maintaining overrides at the child level. We also support the option of assigning a read-only reference relationship. This is useful for supporting things like a franchise or a hierarchical business model, wherein you want to ensure that the consumers of these catalogs have the ability to utilize these items, but don't necessarily have the ability to change anything about them. So things can get really interesting when you have scenarios that call for a multi-level structure. For example, consider an organization that operates in several geographies and needs to maintain regional catalogs. This can be represented in this diagram as Regional Catalog A, which inherits some items from the master catalog. Now, imagine that within each region, let's say, for example, our Central European catalog, I may have some B2B contracts with some of my top customers. These customers require items and overrides from Catalog A because they are located in Central Europe. However, because of whatever contractual reasons I might have, we'd also like to add additional products from the master catalog back into their own contract catalog. This is represented as Catalog Z in this diagram. The main highlight here is that Broadleaf supports the idea of multi-inheritance and provides a very flexible composition model that allows you to compose catalogs in a variety of ways using both inclusion and exclusion filters. So at this point, you may be thinking, this seems pretty complex. How do you manage all of this? Well, from a business user perspective, we've put a lot of effort into providing an intuitive interface and admin tooling that allows merchandisers the ability to work with these complex relationships and hierarchies all through a centralized admin tool. These management screens are built on top of our metadata-driven admin technology, which provides a rich and extensible interface, allowing business users the ability to manage these catalogs and relationships all from a single location. At the same time, it also gives back-end developers the framework and flexibility to customize whatever they need to. So at this point, I'd like to give a quick walkthrough around some of the features and functionality that we've talked about today. And the best way to demonstrate capabilities is to walk through a sample merchandising journey using our centralized admin console. For this quick example, we've set up an empty master product catalog and two customizable regional catalogs that inherit from the master. These regional catalogs are assigned to their own distinct site, which allows us to demonstrate some of those unique catalog hierarchy concepts which we talked about earlier. We'll be utilizing our centralized admin console to view catalog management screens, give a quick overview of basic category and product maintenance capabilities, and finally, we'll touch on some important supporting features such as sandboxing and approval flows. So let's go ahead and switch over to our demo. So the first thing that I would want to show you here is the sample catalogs that we have set up. So you'll notice here that in my master catalog, I do not have any products set up. And if I switch over to my regional site A, and if I look at the products here, I don't have any products set up in my regional site A catalog. And if I go to my regional site B, I don't see any products as well. So let's go back to our global master catalog and go ahead and create a basic product. Go ahead and click Add Product. I'm going to call this T-shirt, and then I'm going to give it a default price of $10. I'll go ahead and create product. Now, a couple things I want to point out here. Our admin framework supports the idea of having users with different roles and responsibilities. You'll notice that when I made a change, there's a notification here up top indicating that there are changes in my own local sandbox, and things have not yet been deployed to production yet. In some cases, I may want to set up different users that have editing privileges versus users that have approval and deployment privileges. And in my case, I'm logged in as a super admin user and have both promote and deploy privileges. So let's go ahead and promote these changes. So I will go here and I can give it a name and a message. I'll leave those the default for now, and then click deploy immediately and click promote and deploy. So what not only happened here was it deployed these changes to production, but it also propagated those changes to my regional catalogs. So if I switch from global to my regional site A here, I should go into my product catalog here. I should see the T-shirt that got propagated to regional site A. And if I go and switch to regional site B, I can also see that T-shirt has also been propagated. Now, a real T-shirt is probably set up with SKUs that represent some level of variation, such as a green large shirt or a blue small shirt. So we've preset up something that we've called product option templates that allow us to easily create those variants. You can see here that we've created a T-shirt color option template, which allows us to specify values of red, green, and blue. And then I've also specified a size option template here of small, medium, large. Now, if I go to products and I go to T-shirts, I can actually specify and create those variants by generating options here. By clicking Generate Options, I can go ahead and generate from the template group that I have specified and I showed you in the previous screen, the T-shirt color and size options. Click Generate. I'll go ahead and click Save. And I'll go ahead and promote these changes as well. And what I can also do is generate the SKUs based on those product options that I set up on the previous tab. So I can go ahead and generate SKUs. And what I can also do is specify a prefix here as well for that SKU generation. So as you can see here, it had generated the small red T-shirt as well as some of the other combinations based on those options that I had set up earlier. So if I go back to General, you'll notice that those variants have not been propagated to those regional catalogs just yet. So I can go ahead and click Promote, and I'll say variant changes, and I'll go ahead and deploy these to those regional catalogs as well. Perfect. So now, if we go ahead and go to my regional site A catalog, I can look at my products. I can see those variants have been propagated to my regional site A catalog. And if I go to my regional site B catalog, those changes have been propagated to the regional site B catalog as well. So for the second part of this demo, I'd like to go ahead and change the name of this T-shirt in my regional site B catalog. I'll call this T-shirt for regional site B. I'll go ahead and save this change. And I'll go ahead and promote these changes to production as well. Great. So the thing I would want to point out here is that the system has detected that this particular field for this product has been overridden at the regional site catalog level that inherited from the master catalog. So if I actually go to the global catalog, you'll notice that the t-shirt name has not changed. And if I go to my regional site B catalog, if I go to my regional site A catalog, the t-shirt name has not changed as well. So let's round out this example and go back to my global catalog here. And let's change the name of the t-shirt at the master level. So I'm going to call this the perfect t-shirt. And why don't we go ahead and give this t-shirt a description. This is a description for a t-shirt. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And I'll go ahead and promote and deploy these changes to those inherited catalogs. Okay, so now let's go see what that did to our regional site catalogs. And go to regional site A and go to products. And notice that the name propagation change has been propagated to the regional site A as well as the description. And if I switch to my regional site B catalog, notice that the overridden change still applies at my child level, but since I had not overridden the description field, that description change from the master catalog had propagated over to my regional site B catalog as well. So Broadleaf's catalog service, in addition to features provided by our other core commerce services, supply a variety of enterprise level features, which I'm not going to go into detail today, but include things like advanced pricing concepts like discounting and offer management, category and taxonomy configurations, and finally more advanced product concepts like bundlings, add-ons, and bulk maintenance capabilities. So to recap, Broadleaf provides a set of highly customizable commerce and management components built on top of a microservices architecture using the latest technologies developers love to use. The ability to flexibly manage master and related catalogs from a single location supports a variety of different use cases across different industries and verticals. Finally, we gave a quick demo of our centralized admin console to walk through some example merchandising journeys, which we believe will serve as a great tool for both business owners and developers by providing a foundational component to your microservices architecture. Now that concludes our webinar for today, and I'd like to turn it over to Brad for Q&A.
Thank you, Elbert. We do have questions queued up for you. And for anyone listening, please feel free to ask any questions on the control panel of GoToWebinar. Again, just use that control panel on GoToWebinar and we'll work to answer the questions in the order we receive them. So the first question for you, Elbert, and you talked about this a little bit, but how do you manage complex products? So not just the catalog, but complex products.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Broadleaf has a rich options concept that supports things like those variant distinguishing options that I showed you earlier. So for example, options that drive the SKU, such as color and size. But we also support things like options that provide required configurations or a configurable bundle construction, or things that will support optional add-ons. So you can think of things like a product that might require a warranty that might be bundled with that product as well.
Great, thank you for that. The next question I'm going to take, it's a question around hosting. The question is, are these microservices SaaS-based or on-prem? We do allow our clients to deploy to the cloud service or your own servers. And so from that aspect, we are on-prem, although most of our clients do choose to deploy in their cloud. That is different from most of our competitors, though, and that most of our competitors, when offering microservices, are offering them in their own cloud, and you've just got access to the APIs. We do give you access to the entire services. All right, next question. Elbert, for you, does Broadleaf support subscription-based products?
Yeah, so the framework is pretty flexible in that regard and can support the construction of a subscription type product. And there are many options to achieve this, and we can recommend best practice patterns, especially if you're also wanting to utilize our subscription and recurring billing backend services as well.
Great. Next question, I'll let you handle this one as well, Elbert. Do your services also support any product browsing journeys?
Yeah, so we have a couple services that can help facilitate this and can work in conjunction with the catalog services. We have, for example, we have a search service and an index service that have pluggable implementations. We provide a Solar implementation by default, and these can help facilitate things like browsing, searching, and filtering flows, especially in a customer commerce facing perspective. We also have a catalog browsing service, which is, we consider this a composite service, a compositional service, which is responsible for handling typical commerce experiences like building out product detail pages and things like that.
Great. The next question is around those overrides. So regarding those overrides with the regional catalogs, are there ways to view or indicate what percentage are overridden? And then does the master catalog have a way to force propagate a change down to the regional catalogs to remove the override?
Yeah, I'll answer, there's two questions there. The first one was just analytics on the overrides and how those overrides are tracked. And I can tell you that there's APIs that allow you to pull back. You'll notice that I demonstrated the sandbox and approval flows, and those change sets are auditable. So there are ways to pull back what overrides have taken place from the data layer. And the second question was around
instead of having the regional sites have the override, can you make it override that so that the master catalog propagates down?
So I think there are multiple ways to address that, where you can have a multi-inheritance tree where the change from the master catalog inherits. I think this is what I demonstrated earlier too, where the change at the master level propagated down to the child regional catalog, but the child override still persisted.
But you can also take away that child override persistence, though. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, there's different ways to configure that relationship, and really depending on how you configure that relationship, there are multiple ways to construct that catalog.
Yeah. So if there are fields that you don't want overridden,
there are hook points in the workflow in terms of how you want to compose and allow these relationships to be set up.
Okay. It looks like that's it for the questions today. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. If you do have any further questions, we would love to talk with you. Send us an email at info@broadleafcommerce.com. You can reach out to us via phone as well. Thank you so much for joining today, and we'll see you next time.